team is playing.
I couldn't care less. I want to enjoy the food. There's a lot of good food my wife made downstairs. And
Hey,
it's just
class, it's Chris Haskins and Dan Borrero, and we are here to talk to you tonight about your real estate investing career, the different tips, tricks, strategies, and tactics that Dan and I have used that has kept us in business for just about 50 years combined. Now that the Super Bowl is going live right now, but I want to talk to you guys about the people that are serious about their financial commitment and what makes me have a serious commitment to you tonight, Dan. I wanted to just bring out and remind people that my predecessors could not own real estate. And I want to just make sure that all of us understand how important this is for me. This is why I do this, right? I could be watching the game, I could be in the bed with my wife, kids, all this stuff, but I want to make sure that my community and my culture understand how serious this is for me. How about you, Dan?
look. It's so serious. While most people are watching the game, the Super Bowl game, watching other people make money, you and I are here trying to spread the wealth of knowledge that we have to help people make money.
Yep. Thank you
So
for
for
coming
the
to.
people that are on here,
I
without
commend you.
a doubt, thank you for being here, and you obviously are serious
Serious
in
about
your
this.
endeavors.
That's right. Well, Dan, as I was listening to Amos Wilson, he goes, "We have more important things to do than watch grown men play with balls."
um,
You like that, Dan?
what was the name of the person that we were just talking about?
Myron Golden. Guys, get your questions in right here. There's a number to call. I'm going to bring my daughter on in a little while too, so it's got an offer for you.
We were just talking about him. I saw um, a one of his clips, and he was saying this was like 2 years ago, and he was saying how there's nothing sadder than watching a broke man concerned about watching a football game on a
Mm.
Sunday.
God, I saw that one, Dan. There's nothing. He has a word for it. There's nothing more might be demeaning than being a
It
broke
was
man.
it was dumb as kicking rocks or something to that effect. As dumb as
He's
a
good at the words, right? He's good at like painting a nice picture for that. But Dan, how did you feel when you heard that?
rock. He he was a lot better wording that ideology than I ever have been. But that's always been my case. So somebody asked me today, who to have money on today. I said,
What you
well,
mean?
who? Meaning the Super Bowl. And I,
Oh, you
was-
told
and I was like, well, who's playing? Yeah.
I love that about you, Dan. And
Yeah.
we always talk about that though, Dan. I'm like, I'm not the guy. We are the guys. I walk in I'm like, and I go to the locker room, I hear these dudes, and I gotta have empathy for them, Dan. I don't want to think I'm gonna say we're any better than anybody. When I hear people walk in having a bad day because their team lost or their team isn't it, and I can't relate.
I walk on my job site and I'll have my guys are listening to a sports host, and then they're arguing among each other over, who manager should have put in on third, or who should they have taken out of the lineup, or they're talking about, the statistics, or like I'll give you one example. The Mets just signed. I don't even know who they just signed the name, but I know he's a first baseman, and they're arguing that he got 57 million, and that that's a lot of money because most rather that's about right for 2 year contract. 57 million for a 2 year all because they only make about 20. First basemen only average about 27 million. So I'm looking at them,
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
listening to this, and I go and I turn off the radio and
Why you
looking at
turn the radio off, Dan?
it. It's exactly what they said. Why you turn it off? And I was like, because you guys are first. You both said that the guy's only making $27 million a year. Tell me
Only.
in this room who the hell makes $27 million a year? Because it's only you use the word only. So are you making? Because I know I ain't paying you that much. I ain't paying you $27 million a year, right? That's just and my if you put as much effort into upgrading your skill sets as you do into learning how much another man makes, you'd be brilliant.
Hmm. That's deep, Dan. That's deep. Y'all give us a call. We want to answer your questions. Talk to you about real estate investing.
You're
Are you
breaking up,
thinking about,
Chris.
huh? Oh, wait a minute. Something happened to my screen here. Am I back? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I'm frozen. Can y'all hear me? Anybody put, am I frozen? Oh, you can hear me. Okay. So, Dan, fucking. Give us a call. Number's right there, 757-204-1332. And by the way, if you haven't yet, our program is sponsored by PropStream right there. Go to Chris Property Data. Chris Property Data. If you do not have the ability to pull mortgage information, if you don't have the ability to find out who is behind the mortgage payments, if you don't have the ability to see who has a lien against their property, if you don't have the ability to find out where the mailing address is or how many properties somebody else owns, go right there. You got to have it. You have to have some type of software. Here's the problem I'm seeing. Most people think that they're going to get by in this day and age without having access to big data, right? They don't want to spend the money. Unfortunately, y'all, there is no alternative. And people wonder why certain people are super successful while others are not. You got to have a software. PropStream, that's what we use. You get a free trial. Chris Property Data, they are our sponsors, but you got to have a way to find out, is somebody behind? How many properties do they own? What's their phone number? Is this, can I skip trace that? See, do they have any other possible emails or phone numbers? You got to have it. There is no way around it. What about souls? How can I find out what property sold instantly? Is it listed on the MLS? Let me see the pictures. It comes out right there. Okay, so Chris Property Data gets signed up as one of our biggest sponsors for my channel. They have done some unbelievable things for me, helped me to grow my business, and they can do the same for you. Dan, you there?
Yeah, don't know what happened, man.
It's all good. Things happen, man. Ain't no big deal. I don't know why mine is funky too. Guys, look, there's a number right there. Give us a call, 757-204-1332. We would love to hear what you're doing. What deals are you actually working on? Are you raising money? You want to make an offer? You want to see how much a deal is worth? And in the video description below too, there's some other links. Dan and I are going to have an unbelievable deal for all the people that join our waiting list for the Ultimate Landlord Survival Guide. People that want to learn how to manage their tenant without their tenant managing them. That is where I see the majority of landlords get destroyed.
Get destroyed.
They could destroy. They will destroy your life. In fact, Dan, in 2008-9, I was headed for destruction until I got educated. I started learning a little bit more, and I started doing Section 8, and that's going to be a part of our training as well. And Dan has been doing this since so long. He has got the bulletproof systems you better have to keep you in business too for that amount of time.
And reality is, you could do everything right. You could buy that property right. You could renovate it right, bring it under budget, do a great job. You could do the burst strategy perfectly fine, but if you don't tenant that property right, it's all
You're
gone.
done. You're
Waste.
done.
Especially in
You're
places
done.
like New York City. You're finished.
Dan, I got a new relationship too, man. I've been meaning to talk to you about this. A young lady has a landlord rent recovery program. It's actually in Brooklyn. I got a call. Are you familiar with Lakeisha, the broker that came on? Did you see her? She's from here, Lakeisha.
I've seen her videos with you, but I
Yeah,
haven't. I
that's
don't
it.
know her.
I know you don't know her. I'm just saying, are you familiar? So she had a friend. She has a friend. If you guys don't want to come on, just put the question in the chat. We'll answer. She has a friend, right? Do you have to give her 10%? Say your tenant owes you $8,000. You pay her 10%, and she can go out there and raise the money and get your back rent. Have you heard of that before?
Basically, like they're collectors, debt collectors. Yeah, I've I've come across them, but I kind of do my own debt collecting, uh, because my tenants 90 well most of them are working people. So once I get that judgment, I just give it to the marshal to execute the judgment. As long as I have where they work or their social security number. And then if I don't, what I
Well,
normally
she's trying to keep the people in the property, Dan.
oh, she is. Okay, that's
Mhm.
different. Okay.
I got to turn you on to her actually because she's in Brooklyn. She went to Hampton University. That's where I got the connect. Last night I got the call. She sent me all this information over. I'm like, shit, you need to talk to Dan. So that'd be a good one for all of y'all too to find
Yeah,
out about.
without a doubt.
So you buying?
She probably goes and search for programs that are available to assist them with their
That's
rent.
that's what she said. She said at 10% she can get it done. I never heard of this before.
I mean, there are a lot of programs out there. So during COVID, I made it my business to know what they were,
Hmm.
and I would provide that information to my tenants on a monthly basis.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah,
good to do that.
yeah.
Down here, it's a requirement that you have to give them a list of people to the tenants. Like when you move them in, like it's called tenants' rights and responsibilities. It has all these programs on it. It's crazy.
Does it really? I was unaware of that.
It's crazy. 6 pages. Deborah, you started the negotiation. Good for you. Thank you so much for your support, Deborah. You're gonna be a monster. They probably already are. Dan, so I'm buying 3 houses. I got one under contract Saturday. I gotta tell you, Dan, the market is down here is on fire, dog. How is it up there? Where you at? Or what are you doing?
It's not on fire for me.
It's
It's
what?
it's stabilized.
Stabilized?
Stabilized.
We'll talk about that in a minute. Caller, you're on the line with Chris and Dan Borrero. State your name and where you call it from.
Hey, how's it going, Chris? This is Jared from Virginia Beach.
Jared from Virginia Beach. Hold up. Jerad from Virginia Beach.
Jarett.
Yeah, we've spoken to Jared before, haven't we, Jared?
Yeah, I called a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Jared, you fellow non-football watcher person, thank you for joining us. What's going on, brother?
Nothing much, man. Yeah, I'm similar to you, man. I was a huge football fan, and a couple of years ago, I just woke up one day and just stopped caring.
What did you say to yourself?
It
Tell us
wasn't
about the
it was,
moment.
honestly, it coincided. Honestly, it coincided with graduating college. As soon as I graduated college, I just lost interest once I started working myself. So, it wasn't a big come to Jesus moment, but yeah.
Hold up, Jared. I don't want to
It's
minimize.
whether they win or lose, it doesn't change anything.
Jared, I don't want to minimize what you're saying. I believe we minimize our lives, and I'm not saying that your life is minimum. I'm saying when you made that decision, to me, was a big deal. Now I don't know about how my viewers are looking at it, but I'm telling you, you might think it was just I just started. Dude, I got 50, 60-year-old broke ass men that contact me still watching TV, know more about this statistics that they do their own rental. They renting.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Come on, dog. That's a big move. I ain't trying to make you. You did a good thing cutting that mess off. All right.
Yeah.
Jared, what's your question?
All right. So my question is, do either of you have experience with a quick claim deed? Because I'm looking at buying some properties from a tax delinquent auction. Not actually a tax delinquent auction. It's like people who bought from a tax delinquent auction, and the year went by where the person could redeem it. And I guess the person who bought it was just interested in actually getting like the interest. They didn't care about the property. So now they put it through like a private auction where they're selling it through quick claim deeds. And so I'm looking at that because like the prices are pretty good, but I'm just worried about, the title not being clear and kind of like the repercussions of that.
Yeah, I personally don't buy anything with a quick claim deed. I'd rather go through the title company, even if it costs me a little bit more. So with a quick claim deed, there's no warranty or guarantee, right? It's exactly what it says. It's quick, right, and it's a claim, and it's your deed.
You're quitting the claim.
Right. So, let's say you went online and you see, let me just check all the taxes and all the back taxes were paid. You're like, I'm good. And then let's say you'd say, oh, let me just see if there was any mortgages on this property. And you go online and you check to make sure there's no mortgages on the property, right?
Or if you did a search, you can even do a search.
Even do a search. And then what happens is the previous owner says, I was never notified or I wasn't served properly. Or the previous owner also did a quitclaim deed, and the person when they sold it to him, it happened to be an estate that wasn't probated. Right? There's so many different things.
Million things, dog.
Yeah, that I'm
They
like
borrowed money. They borrowed money and didn't record the deed of trust, and now the deed of trust.
Yeah,
You could go down the line.
I always do warranty deeds, and I'll pay the title company the insurance policy, because what happens is most of the time when I tell them I'll pay for the title, I'll pay for the title insurance and the title search, they still tell me no. And if they tell me no, most of the time they're going to tell me no, and it's because they know something that's in the back end that they're not sharing with me.
They already know
that they know it's going to come up.
Yeah.
Search.
Jared, the only time we use quitclaim deeds is when there's no equity. I'm talking about, and you don't foresee any type of equity coming in the next few years, because you can buy the house and you can get some cash flow right now. Say the foreclosures next week, person leaves and out of town. You do a quitclaim deed, I'm calling. No equity, you're not losing anything, right? But if you're doing a deal, Dan, would you even do that? Would you do a quitclaim? I'm not saying even to do. I'm just saying the only way I would even think about it.
No, I wouldn't even do it then.
So Dan wouldn't even do that then. Jared, why a quitclaim deed? Did they buy it with quitclaim, or are you buying it with a quitclaim? Quit.
Well, it's a tax lien, right?
They bought it with they bought it from the county via quitclaim. It was like tax delinquent.
What state? What state was that in?
South Carolina.
So every state and every county has their own rules when it comes to selling, tax liens. Sometimes the county may say, but the tax liens supersede all mortgages, and now the mortgage is null and void. Some counties don't. Some states don't. So I'm not very familiar with that, because that's not the side of the business I really buy in, to be honest with you. I can tell you I got caught with my pants down twice though, when I back probably around 1998 with 2 lots. Thank God they weren't a lot of money. They were very minimal, like 3,000. Another one was like 5,000. But again, it cost me $8,000 to learn my lesson.
Jared, does that help you at all?
Oh yeah, it does. So is there value on auctions at all? In this,
you know what, Jared? I'm gonna, if you don't mind,
auctions.
Jared, I'm gonna give you an example of what happened to me. So I bought it on a quitclaim deed because I checked the taxes; it was all paid. I checked to see if there was any mortgages. There were none. I checked to see if the previous person before them had a mortgage. There weren't any. I went back 3 owners, nothing, no mortgages. Fast forward, when I go to sell the property, I couldn't sell it because the people I bought it from were getting divorced. So they both signed the deed to me when I bought it. But then the husband signed another deed relinquishing his property to the wife in the divorce proceedings. So I had what they call a cloud on title, even though that was done after they gave me the quitclaim deed. It was done like 2 weeks later. So when I looked at how much it was going to cost me to fight it, to get this cloud on title removed, I was like, you know what? Screw it. So what I did was I didn't pay the taxes for 7 years.
Damn.
And every year I had one of my other companies buy the tax lien. And then I foreclosed. So my company B foreclosed on my company A, and then it cleared the title.
Smart.
Then I had to pay another $1,500 to an attorney to clean the title so that a title company will give a warranty deed on it.
Uh,
I hope that helped you, Jared, at all. Some titles are good. I would only go to one where you're gonna get a warranty. You either only deed I would trust would be a special warranty deed or general warranty deed. Dan, you got a little more knowledge on that than me.
I pretty much do warranty deed.
You can't. If you buy REO, they're not going to give you a general. They're going to give you a special.
You ought to give you a special warranty deed.
That's all they're going to give you.
Pretty much same.
I hope that helped, Jared.
okay, I did help. I did have one more question at this time.
Shoot, go ahead quickly.
Okay, this is for you, Chris. So I know you do this type of stuff. How do you decide if you want to sell lease option versus seller finance versus a land contract when you're trying to do that style of having them do all the repairs and putting down a down payment?
Yeah, I'm kind of teeter-tottering on both right now. If the place needs a lot of work, I definitely will do seller finance. Well, don't forget, seller finance is the same thing as a land contract for deed. You just don't relinquish the deed. It is an executory contract where we hold on to the deed until the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if it needs a ton of work, I'm just imagine, people don't even comprehend. You can buy an ugly house, right? For whatever, turn around, sell it for 80,000 more, do nothing to it, finance it to somebody else, get a down payment. Yeah, that is a great strategy that I would do. If the house needs a little bit of work, that's why I'm going to more lease options. It's because I don't want the liability. Like if somebody comes back and say somebody got hurt or whatever, I'm like, look, I sold it. I got a contract for deed. This is an executory contract. It counts as a sold, right? As a sale. We never do seller finances. I never give us a deed. I don't want to do that.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah. Anything else, Jared?
I know. That's it. Thank you, Chris and Dan. I appreciate it.
Much love, brother. Good luck to you. That was a good question.
All right, thank you.
Dan.
Have a good one.
Yes, sir. Those are good
Appreciate
questions,
it.
Dan. Any other questions we
All right,
got
thank
here?
you.
Go right 757-204-1332, 204-1332. Go in the video description below. Dan, I got my daughter. She's doing a quick spot here. Taylor Haskins.
Oh, hi.
Miss Haskins, how are you?
Good, I'm good.
Isn't my daughter beautiful, y'all?
Always.
Oh,
My daughter is participating in a debutante. Is that what it is?
yeah, that's what it's called. It's
So
for the Delta Scholarship.
Delta
Delta
Sigma Theta.
Sorority.
Taylor
Yeah.
Haskins is participating, and I'm going to be doing a waltz with her. It's really cool. We're practicing dancing together. Taylor, tell the party people what you got, and there's a link in the show notes below for you.
Yeah, so for the scholarship for the Delta Sorority, I have to raise money for my scholarship, and 80% of that money is for my scholarship, and 20% is for the sorority itself, and they choose what they do with that money. So
Call
they
her,
can
hold
give
on
it
the line,
to-
please. 1 second. Call her, hold 1 second.
Oh.
Go ahead, Taylor.
They can give the 20% to like a charity or any way they see fit. The donation money is for participants like me, and it's also for the other ones. So everybody kind of shares the money at the end of it, but whoever gets the most money gets awarded a Jabberwock Princess, I believe. And
What is it
Yeah.
for? What are you using the money for, buddy?
the scholarship or college, it's going to work out college for me.
Support people getting a degree.
Yeah, and I put anybody that does donate in the Google form. You should put in your email, and I'll send out invitations to anyone who donates, so you can come and watch. And there's a benefit for business owners. You can purchase ads to be placed in our souvenir journal, and it's a big thing. Apparently, a lot of people will be there. It's $100 for a full page, $50 for half a page, and if you want to make any donations through a check, they have tax deductible donations you can give out. So I thought that was a great benefit for
Papa Dan.
people who wanted
Papa
to do
Dan
that.
needs a tax deduction. Papa Dan. Taylor, it is an honor hearing from you. So look, if somebody wants to support you, there's a link in the show notes below. Anything else, Taylor?
I think that's it for me. Yeah.
All right. I love
I
you.
love.
And
Congratulations.
Love you
tell them
too.
about the
Thank
Australia
you.
thing. Thanks to Dan, you're going to Australia.
Oh,
Tell them about that.
yes, I did. I ran another donation campaign not too long ago to fund my trip to Australia, and I got enough money to go. So now I'm headed to the Sydney Opera House to perform playing trumpet.
Can y'all believe? I thought you were taking the French horn.
No, I signed up for trumpet for this one.
Oh, okay. Well, Dan,
Yeah.
sorry, Dan. I had to explain what a French horn was to Dan a few minutes ago.
I still play French horn though. I play it for school
Yep.
and some other stuff.
That is so cool. Congratulations, Taylor.
Thank you.
The world's
Congratulations.
Caller, you on the line with Chris and Dan. State your name and where you're calling from.
What's up, Chris and Dan? This is Ernesto from North Dakota.
Ernesto. North Dakota. Shit, I don't even know how to. Hope I spelled it right. What up, Ernesto? How you doing, buddy?
Good and you?
Man, I'm on top of the world. How can we serve you?
I'm hoping to join you there soon. So I actually had two questions, one for you and one for Dan. So I'll start off with Dan first. Looking at a property, doing an analysis, working on your cap rate online. Property I'm looking at, though, it is an REO property owned by the bank. And so you have those line items in there that are for utilities. But I try to call into utility company and say, hey, I don't need specifics for this property. I just need a rough estimate. They shot that down and said, hey, you're not the current owner. You got to go and get it from the current owner. Obviously, the current owner's not in there anymore. The bank owns it. The bank can't even get it because they weren't the owner during that time. So how do you try to estimate those in those expense columns?
So maybe you need to approach it differently when you call them. What you need to say is, because I've done it this way, and this is the only way I actually do it now because I seem to get a lot more cooperation, is I'm currently looking to rent this property and I want to know if I could afford the utilities. Can you provide me, I know you can't give me the numbers, but can you provide me the average annual usage? Right? And you'd be surprised how they will give you that. Because you're asking for the same information, but you're coming at it from a different perspective. Does that make sense?
That was a hornet wrapped in a marshmallow. You just nasty. You just nasty. Good gosh. Ernesto, was that nasty?
That's good. I never thought about that. It is, yeah. Because when I approached it and I was like, hey, I'm looking at buying this property. I want to know what the expenses are, and they shot that down. But now
you rich so and so. You think I'm gonna tell you what this is? So you go out there and keep getting rich.
You got to
exactly
right, because now you're pulling on their emotional strings, right?
I'm just a renter.
Yeah.
The other thing is, what kind of property is it? May I ask?
It's a fourplex.
So the electricity was it for the public use, right? Hallways and exterior.
Say that one more time.
You're gonna only be paying electricity for the exterior as well as the hallway areas, right?
Oh yeah. The common area. Yep.
That should be very minimal. I mean, it depends on what the kilowatts are where you're at. I mean, but here in New York, if it's a 4-family property, I'm going to estimate the utility bill at about $100 a month. But where you're at, it should be, I would say about 100, 125. But where you're at, it should be less because New York has an expensive amount as far as their kilowatts are concerned. So I don't even call to ask. I estimate it based on my experience.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate it. I'll try to follow with that. Yeah. So the second one was for you, Chris. So watching your videos, you do a lot of subject to. So you said you don't want to inundate the owner with a whole bunch of paperwork at the first time. So all you're really bringing in is your purchase offer and then the release of information, right? So that purchase offer is very general, saying, hey, I'm looking at trying to purchase this property if these numbers match up. So after that purchase offer gets signed, you go back with a more heavy purchase offer saying, hey, look, these are now contingent on maybe potential harder findings, like if something's wrong with the foundation or something that's going to be a deal breaker for you.
Ernesto, that's a great question, brother. Thank you for putting that out there. So subject to, people who don't understand, we're buying the property, leaving the loan in the seller's name, right? So we got to look at that as tremendous value. So I'm really just trying to get the information on the loan. I don't really care about the condition, man. I'm getting free financing. And the only thing I really want to know is I get the authorization to release to get all the data. But am I going to change terms? If you're buying a subject to, dog, there's nothing. If something wrong with the foundation, then that's your problem. Not like you're going to go back to the seller and be like, they're giving you financing, right? So you can't go. You got to go back and say, hey, I know I'm taking over your loan, leaving the loan in your name, which keeps you liable on your credit still, but I need $20,000 less because of foundation.
Okay, that makes sense.
So nah.
All right. So yeah. All right. That clears it up.
Write it up.
So you're just mostly focused on what the finance part of that is. And
yeah, I just get that for the data. I write it up, get the data. In fact, I don't even write it up. I just get the authorization because I need to verify all the numbers. 9 times out of 10, the numbers don't work. They owe too much. They're in arrears too much. The payment's too high. So there's no reason to write it up till you know exactly what it is. I just tell you, our industry is going to write it up, write it up, but change later. Dan, you seeing that happen a lot? It's almost like ask questions later.
Because what happens is they want to get it off the market, right?
That's true. That's got some value. When you get older, man, you just don't like dicking around with people's time. Ask Dan. I promise you. I'm going to read Dan's mind. He probably doesn't make an offer till he knows for 100% sure he's going to buy it. But I don't know, Dan. Tell us what your brain is.
That's 100% fine. Like I'll give you guys. There was a REO that came up, a condo that came up not far from my home today. It hit my because I'm on a drip campaign for a specific with a realtor, and I was actually driving home from checking the properties because we had a snowstorm last night, and I go in and I make sure everybody did what they're supposed to do, right? And I got the ding. I looked at it. I immediately called my realtor. His name is Jose. This was at literally 1:15, and at 1:45, I was walking that property, and at 2:00, I gave him an offer to write up, which he already sent to the listing agent.
But those numbers. You ain't coming back. You were pretty close to saying, "Look, I know I can do this."
Yeah, I told him it was a cash offer, subject to nothing other than reviewing the condo financials and condo docs. That's it. Yeah. I know I'm going to spend in the unit about $50,000 between a new kitchen, 2 new bathrooms, new heating and cooling system. But I'll be done in 3.5 weeks, 4 weeks the most.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Ernesto, good questions, brother. Thank you for coming on with us.
Yeah, sure. I actually got one more if you don't mind.
Real quick. Go ahead.
You got more people on.
You got something. I got it. Go ahead.
So once you get to the closing table, you said you get on the lawyer to prepare that. Do you ever get a seller who's like, man, I've been sideswiped by, what we said, because you try to be honest up front, but then when they actually get to the closing table, your CYA is, hey, we're going to get, you keep it in your name, you're going to give us your password and all that stuff. So do you ever preempt and say, hey, this is what we're kind of expecting when we go to close?
Never had anybody blow. I had one guy that did it a little hesitantly, and that's been one since I started doing these in 2010, right? But most of the time, they're going down, boom, 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 initial, and they're over. They just don't.
Okay.
It ain't gonna happen, brother.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that was all I got. I appreciate you both, man. You guys drop a lot of knowledge. I look forward to what you guys got coming out. So I was on that construction class or contracting classes. It was amazing. So you guys are amazing. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We're actually going to be coming out with another one of those similar
Hit
class.
the button, Ernesto. Peace.
We're going to be
Go ahead,
talking.
keep talking,
About,
Dan.
yeah, I'm going to keep talking. We're going to be talking about and educating on how you should give your offer, right?
How to make the offer.
Yeah, how to give the offer, and how to determine if that property is going to be cash flowing. There's a lot of questions that, so most of the people that call up Chris and I for consultations, we realize they're not analyzing, they're not underwriting that property.
Analyze it.
So we're gonna teach you the steps of how to analyze the property, what you should be asking, the questions that the numbers that you should be using, and we're also going to be providing you with my calculator that I use on a daily basis. I actually today on the deal that I put in the offer in on today, I was able to punch in the numbers on my phone using my deal analyzer that I digitized, and in 4 minutes I was able to give him his offer.
That's sweet, Dan. I can't wait. We are. Dan calls these micro classes, so we are working on these for you guys in the near future. We're trying to do these like every other. That girl Shine. Thank you so much for your love offering. Thank you. We have a credit to get. We have a credit together and some cash. Oh, did I miss something?
We
have our credit together.
Some cash.
Credit together, like saying we got to. Okay, I thought we want to purchase a home 4-bed, 3-bath in Georgia and invest in rentals. Can we do both or get the house first?
It all depends on how much money you have, right?
What are they saying both, Dan? What does she mean?
Can they buy their personal home as well as an investment home?
Oh, okay.
And yes. I mean, so it's funny. I bought my first property in 1989. I bought my second property in 1990. And
you was rolling, Dan.
I bought my third property, which was my personal home, 4 months after I bought my second investment property. Now, I was able to do that because my wife and we had put it in our heads. We weren't going out. I mean, a night out for us, a date night was a pizza pie, and 2 videos.
There's nothing wrong with that, by the way.
So because we were putting away every single red set. Good. Right. I was bagging my lunch to work every day. So the point is we were able to do that because we were saving a lot of money. We were saving literally like 70% of our income. We were living way below our means. So if so it all depends how much money you have, right? If you have enough money for all those down payments is a question.
Dan, what about the bandwidth for that that girl Shine? What about the bandwidth of valuating an owner-occupied versus valuating a rental property? Would a newbie do that? I mean, is that something you would put on?
When you're buying an owner-occupied property, it's much different thought process.
Completely different, yo.
You're buying a property for cash flow and asset appreciation, which is what we're going to be teaching people. That's going to be on that. We actually, Chris and I decided we were going to come out with this class because, literally, I would say 2/3 of the people that do one-on-one consultations with me are people asking me to analyze a deal that they're in. Mm-hmm. And it's unfortunate, but most of them are calling me after they're into the deal.
You would have told them no, right? You would have told them no.
Before. No, I would say 8 out of those 10 consultations, I'm telling them it's a bad deal.
Bad deal.
Got to get out of it.
Isn't that something, Dan?
Yeah. After we do the numbers, I'm like, it's a terrible.
Don't make sense.
It don't make sense.
So, Dan, I got to ask you, you've been doing this longer than me. What about the bandwidth? Do you recommend someone doing both? I couldn't imagine because it was hard for me.
I did it, but
you in the game.
No, I was. Remember, I just bought my first property and the second property the year later.
But you are an entrepreneur. You're used to looking at stuff all day.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was self-employed for about almost 5 years before I did that.
I'm telling you, yo, that girl Shine, completely different skill set to buy on rock than it is to buy rental property. And I don't know if I would. I'm just imagining hanging out with you every day, right? Dan, you're hanging out with her every day. She has these houses you're looking at. She brings them to you. She goes, Dan, what do you think about this? And you're like, hey, is this for owner rock or for rental? I mean, I'm just imagining me with you. I'm like, dude, we got to cut that hat off. And
yeah, I want to tell you. I just want the audience to understand how many people we have on here right now.
40 on here. We got 10 on IG.
So what I want to get, the message I need to really get across is, not every deal is a deal. And when you look at a property, like my criteria when I look at a property is I look at it for every reason why I shouldn't buy
Should
it.
not buy it.
And then if it still makes sense, then I'll dig a little deeper into the research. But my first reaction is I don't want it.
I don't even want it. I don't need it.
I don't need it. So let me look at every reason why I shouldn't buy it. And if the positives still outweigh the negatives, okay, let's do some deep diving. Now, I know a lot of you guys are going to say, well, Dan, you could say that because you have a lot of property, and Chris could say that because Chris has a lot of property. But I'm going to tell you, I do a free mentorship class every single Wednesday night. And the first thing I try to teach my mentees is, under no circumstances should you feel pressured to buy your first property, because that's when you're going to make mistakes. Don't let the anxiety take over your better judgment and your education. So always look at every deal as a reason why you shouldn't buy that deal.
Should not buy it. We got one more question. She's paid for this one. I got to get her, Dan. That girl's not interested in assuming a mortgage. Good. Are there any companies that broker assumptions of mortgages? You have to meet an investor that's selling you a seller finance deal. The only way I know of, Dan. What do you know? I don't know.
Pretty much the same thing.
You got to go to, if I were you, I would go to Facebook and I would join all the RIAs. Dan, that girl Shine, you are special because you can buy one of these properties to live in and you don't need cash flow. So these guys are going to be happy to sell you something as opposed to selling me and Dan something, because we're going to beat them up. You living in it, you'll be happy to pay a down payment. All right. Dan, I see you getting tired, y'all. Help me with.
I'm trying to put this number in. I'm going to put it into Instagram.
Ernesto, he needs that calculator. Ernesto, thank you so much for your support. We're going to have that class in the next few weeks. Dan and I are going to finalize all that this week, actually. Did we send out the videos? We sent that out, right, Dan? Ernesto, were you a VIP at the last class? You should have got the recordings 2 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
If you didn't get them, just send us an email. We'll get it to you. Sometimes those emails get clogged up. They don't make it out. That's right, Deborah. Keep your emotions. Deborah, I don't want to minimize that, though, because it's hard. It's hard for people to keep emotions. It's a house. It's $200,000. It's where, when I'm saying my former self, I'm like, where isn't it something, Dan? Now you're like, it's only 200, and then
I gotta pinch myself. I was just talking to my neighbor. I haven't seen him in a while.
The Trump neighbor or a different neighbor?
Different neighbor. Actually, no, he was a Trump neighbor. And he said to me, he goes, "Man, you're a lucky man." I said, "Tell me about it. I'm a very rich man."
I love it, Dan.
You
gotta accept it.
No, it just so happens my daughter was over for dinner last night with her husband. All my kids were here, and when he was coming back from dinner with his wife, he saw my daughter and her husband and two of my sons coming down the stairs, and they were talking. He says, "You're a lucky man. Your kids are all adults, and they still want to be with you guys. You are
you're blessed."
So money's not about there's different levels of wealth, is what I'm trying to say.
That's right, Dan. And then I want to make sure when people look at you and me, more over for you, where you are now. I wish I would have just known a little bit of your journey coming up. I know you live in the same house that you lived in for years. Some people can't even imagine that, right?
I've been in the same house 27 years.
Yeah, I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give this book away now.
I gotta be honest with you. I don't know. It's funny, if I moved, I don't know if my kids would feel comfortable coming home, like as comfortable as they feel now. They grew up in this house,
Wow. Rebecca, I need assistance with a tenant trying to manipulate my 80-year-old uncle into selling her by threatening to sue for things she purchased to update the property.
Where's Rebecca? If you don't mind, tell me what state and city. Tell me what state and city.
Rebecca, what state and city is that in? You still there? Dan, Harry Demo, what type of investment should I pursue with $10,000? I'm self-employed.
It all depends where you're looking to buy, right? So if you're trying to buy something in New York City for $10,000, I'm going to tell you you're nuts. But if you go to like Northern Florida, and you want to buy yourself, a single family home or townhome or condo, you could absolutely do it, right? So it all depends on the region, the area. It all depends on your credit history, your credit, what your credit score is. There's a lot of variables with that, but yeah, it's very possible.
You got so many variables. With $10,000, I don't know what your skill set is. I mean, even if Dan and I put together a package and sold you something for 10 grand, do you have the ability to manage the tenant? So many things we need to ask you, Harry, Demo, and Junk. If you came on, we can ask you, but I think we need to make sure we take out of our minds that just because you got the financing, shit, look at lottery winners. They got the fucking financing. But that doesn't mean that they have the ability and the wherewithal, the life energy to sustain and manage it, Harry, Demo, and Junk. So I don't want to, Dan, help me. I don't want to minimize this thing to money because money, dude, the money's going to show up.
You know what? If you gave me $10,000, I could become a millionaire again.
Based on what you know, though.
Probably in about 5 years, 4 to 5. And I'm talking about, I'm being very conservative. It would have taken me 20 years when I first started because we didn't have the information that we currently have today. So she's in Chicago.
Rebecca's in Chicago, Dan.
So I don't know what the rules are in Chicago, to be honest with you, but I do know this. If your grandmother gives you power of attorney to represent her with that property, that tenant no longer can talk to her. And if that tenant tries to talk to you, that 80-year-old uncle, you now could bring charges against her for harassment, right? So now you immediately remove the tenant connection. My other argument is you need. The other thing is
you
need to speak to a landlord attorney, landlord tenant attorney that specializes in housing in that particular county, right? But my immediate thought is I'm going to get the power of attorney. I'm going to give her the copy of the power of attorney, and I'm going to serve her with notice. You from this day forth, you only talk to me. If you speak to my uncle, it's going to be considered a harassment, and I will bring charges against you for that. Now that person's going to be now the person's going to say, okay, game on, which means that they're not going to probably pay you rent, and now you're going to have to go through eviction process.
Get them out then. That's even better.
Yeah. So and then they're going to say, well, when you go to court, they owe me for all the upgrades they did, and your argument is, I don't know about any upgrades, and if they did that upon themselves,
that ain't a problem.
Your argument is they need to remove that because did they use a licensed electrician? Did they use a licensed plumber? Did they use a licensed carpenter? Were those contractors insured? Because otherwise that goes against my policy. And every simplistic lease has wording in there that they can't do that. So they just violated the lease in multiple. You let them talk first and let them list everything they've done. Okay, you did all that? No problem. You have pictures of that? Yes. You have receipts? Yes. Was this contractor licensed? Was the electrician licensed? Did they have disability and general liability policy?
Dan nasty, y'all.
You see how to turn it around?
That's nasty. I think Dan has been through this before. Do y'all think that?
You think?
Dan, you are damn. Yeah. Y'all give a thumbs up in that chat down there. Dan, you nasty, dog.
Guys, you have to use the system that they want to use against you and turn it on them. Turn it. All right, no problem. You did that? You got permission from my uncle? Do you have that in writing? Well, no, because he doesn't talk very well. So you made a deal with somebody that isn't capable of understanding what you were saying?
Oh, shit.
You know what I'm saying? You know how it goes?
You nasty, dog. If anybody thinks Dan is nasty, please hit that thumbs up button. Caller, you're on the line with Chris and Dan. This is our final call. Please state your name and where you're calling from.
Hi, Chris. Hi, Dan. Miss James.
Who is it?
Calling from the Bronx.
Miss James?
Miss James.
Miss James, how are you?
James, I'm in Dan's Wednesday. Hi, Dan. I'm great. Thanks. How are you?
Yes, as soon as you said Miss James from the Bronx, New York, I knew who you were.
That voice is really cool too, man. You gotta get online with that. I love that. You could talk to me all day.
Talk to me, Miss James. What's your question?
First of all, I want to say thank you guys for your awesomeness. I mean, it's Sunday, and you're on the line dedicating your time. And Dan, you do it every Wednesday. Chris, I see your emails every day, and I don't know how often you do it in the week. So thank you.
Thank you
you.
so much, man. Can you
So my question is, Dan, we've evaluated this property already in our Wednesday night mentorship, and so at this present moment, right, I went through the process of getting a FHA 203 pre-approval, and I'm wondering. I've posted the question in the app, but I'm wondering between the FHA 303K route or a construction loan route. I'm not sure which would be the best to do. I know one is more up out of pocket and the other one is a little less. But I'm not sure what the angle is, what's the best angle or route to go with acquiring places online for 500K. Just to give you some context, it's a two-family, but I can see from violations and things online that they were trying to use it for multiple units because it has the space to do so. Yeah, there are different factors, but entry-wise, in terms of acquisition cost, would be best. I am open to moving into it as a primary residence, though, so that's where the 203K works.
So if I remember correctly, and I want everyone to understand this, Miss James happens to be one of our mentees that comes to our mentorship class, and she actually also has the Mentorship Unleashed, which is a video library of my 121 classes that I've done. I've done 121 free classes on Wednesday.
Wow.
Can you imagine that, Chris?
No.
So, and with that mentorship Unleashed, it's also my deal analyzer, and that's what she was referring to. So when we put that property into the deal analyzer, I remember the numbers did not.
Is this the one we was talking about, Dan? Is this the lady we were talking about the other day?
Yeah, you and I were talking about.
We were talking about this lady last week.
Yeah, so the deal did not make sense. But now you're telling me so the deal didn't make sense to me, and I'll tell you, I'll share it with everyone. Because Miss James this is a 2-family home, but she thinks she could convert it to 3 families. The question now becomes it's New York City. You know how difficult that is just to get everything approved? You're looking at a year and a half out. Okay.
Why, Dan?
Because it's New York City. The architect's going to do the drawings. They're going to send it in. They're going to be objections. You're going to send them back, and then when you send
drawings you got to do to do the basement? Why do you got to do drawings?
This is New York City, bro. It's okay. Miss James, am I lying? Miss James,
are you lying about what? The time for New York City to get stuff done?
Yeah. Yes. How difficult is it?
Well, I've heard the stories. I've not done a conversion as yet, so that part I don't know about. But I do see it's quite a process in the city.
It's extremely difficult. It's extremely lengthy. So when you buy a property like this, you have to understand that you have to have you're going to have to pay the carrying costs during the time that you're trying to get these permits.
So when she buys it all that time, wow.
Right. So on top of that, that carrying cost should be added to the acquisition amount when you're estimating whether the property is going to be feasible or not, right? And then you have to figure out what your whole renovation costs are going to be, and that also gets added to the acquisition cost. And then based on that, of course, with other expenses, and then you look at what the probability of what kind of rents you're going to get is what determines whether the property is going to be good enough. Now, Ms. James is asking whether she should go for a construction loan or a 203 loan. Ms. James, that question only you could answer because they will be giving you the monthly payments, and then you have to decide whether you could sustain the carrying time with those monthly payments, and that will determine which loan you should go for.
Right. So I know with the 203K that I can and 6 months, if it's unlivable for 6 months, I know I can wrap it into my acquisition cost. The construction loan I haven't gotten a quote for as yet, so that will be my next step, and to get some type of preliminary numbers into what the cost of acquisition would be with a construction loan
Absolutely.
and match it up. Okay.
Yep.
Thank
Thank you, Miss James.
James. Peace. I remember you
What did you say? Have a good night.
Me too.
Take
I
care.
remember you talking about her last week. Then, all right, y'all, you can enjoy your Super Bowl halftime. Dan Kennan says you're when Dan speaks. You like E.F. Hutton? You remember those old E.F. Hutton commercials, Dan?
E.F. Hutton, listen. What was it?
When
First would go like this, or was it like something like that?
like when E.F. Hutton talks,
Yeah.
we listen.
Yeah. Gold
Dan's
Dance mentorship
mentorship.
on Leadership Steel. Thank you. Guys, I have my mentorship class that I host every single Wednesday night. It's absolutely free to sign up, free to attend, free to learn, free to network. All you got to do is just go to danielborrerojr.com and sign up there. Right? It's free to attend. It's crazy that you can. Let's take this one.
Okay. All right, we'll take it. 1 second. I'm trying to log into TikTok. Me and Dan decided we're gonna do TikTok. Caller, you're on the line with Chris and Dan. Please state your name and where you're calling from.
Hey, this is KJ from Florida. I'm going to piggyback on what Ms. James was talking about, but
Okay.
for Florida.
KJ from Florida. Okay.
What part of Florida? What part of Florida you're in, KJ?
I'm in that area where everybody wants to come to, Tampa Bay.
Where's that at?
Where?
So everything's gotten quite expensive.
Where's she at? I didn't hear her.
I don't know.
Yeah. Tampa Bay.
Oh, Tampa Bay. Yes. Very, very
Blue City.
popular.
I'll be there on March 27th. What you got?
Nice. Okay, so I've got a single family rental with lots of land in the back, and trying to figure out how to put an additional dwelling unit on it, and wondering if y'all have pursued doing so. It's more so the financing. I have a construction company that will do the architectural plans and the engineering and the surveying, and
Good for you.
I already have a quote for all of that.
Okay.
So I've toured all of their ADUs that they've done. They're great. But just trying to figure out how to finance it. It is not my primary. I can get a lovely FHA 2 3K. I just got a tenant in there. And then I was like, oh, I would like the ADU because the city has just changed their zoning to allow it. So it's a thing. And I guess I'm just looking for advice and your wisdom.
So,
That's all Dan Borrero.
All right. Just different ways to do this. The best way to do it is I would sit down with literally 3 different mortgage brokers and bring them the one that you're going to have to bring them proof that you could actually build that ADU or that additional home. But if the contractor that's doing it for you is doing the survey and the designs, they're going to, that tells me that it's probably yes, that you could do it. So what I would say to you is, one, I kind of hate I don't like dealing with companies all in one because now they kind of hold you hostage. So I don't recommend the one company in charge of civil engineering, architectural, and construction, because now you're a hostage to them. In the event of any,
Got it.
That's number one. Number two, the financing. What I would do is I would shop it, and then if you go to 3 different mortgage brokers, you're probably going to get 3 different opinions, and then based on what fits your box, within your box, because everyone's got a different box. Like, although Chris and I are in the same business, we do the business differently. So my criteria box would be a much different box than Chris Haskins' criteria box. So not only that, everyone's is in a different financial situation as well. So what may work for me doesn't necessarily mean it will work for you. And then what works for you doesn't necessarily mean it will work for me. That's why I say to you, go see 3 different mortgage brokers and then see what products they have available to you for you to complete this job, and then pick the one that fits within the criteria of your box.
Okay.
This is a long-term hold, correct?
Yes, yes, I've had it. My parents did a great job and had me purchase it the first time I earned my first dollar. So yes,
How
I've had
long
it
ago
for
was that?
a long time, a good enough time, over 10 years.
Good for you. Good for you.
I'm so happy.
Good for
KJ.
you.
We need to get your parents on here. Whatever they did, that we need to all do that.
Yes. Good for
Yeah,
you.
yeah, I'm quite proud of them for that, for their vision. Yeah.
You lucky.
You're doing very well, KJ.
Yeah, you're lucky with that.
You're
All
doing
right. Anything else, KJ?
I'm good. Think, yeah, I'll just listen.
All
All
right.
right.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming
Listen.
on.
Thank you for the advice on the separate though, because it was very difficult to find construction companies willing to do the ADU, and then I found this one, and they do everything. But I'll take that into consideration.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who they are. I'm not saying anything bad about them. I'm just saying, me in general, whenever I've given an all-in-one type of situation, I somehow or another I always got screwed.
Me too. It's something. My mentor says the only thing you want one in is your spouse, right? So I'm imagining Dan having one, whatever. I'm like, you just one is too close to zero.
Yeah, it's
One,
just
you piss them off, or you don't pay for. You say you want more work done than what's done, and then the whole job stops, and you're like, damn, if I had multiple contractors, at least I could get the electrical done, or at least I could get the
if
plumbing done.
I pulled my own permits because my architect did
Ah,
civil engineer, I could always fire the contractor, get somebody else in here to finish it. You can't do that when they're in control of everything. You're not going to fire them. You're stuck.
okay.
Oh yeah, I've been stuck with them.
Yeah,
Dan.
their initial cost is commitment. You know, when you say the difference between a chicken and the chicken and the pig is committed. So yes.
All right.
There you go.
Good luck to you.
Okay.
Dan,
Thank you.
somebody else says our contractor class at Dan was awesome. Thank you so much for joining. We got many micro classes. So we've decided to do these micro classes. Like we're going to be breaking down our business that we actually do. We're not out here driving cars and pretending to do this shit, which I can't stand. I'm like, so we're actually in houses every day. Okay. Dan is in a house. Dan, how many guys on here you think are not even? I'm like, when last time you even went to see a house?
I just went to see a house sit out. Well, it was a condo, not a house.
I'm just talking about these gurus, and I know I'm starting to pick them apart. It's really starting to piss me off. How can you follow them when all you do is going to the bar? Anyway, so
vacationing and listen. Funny, I started on social media because my kids were trying to get me on social media for about 5 years.
Before we met?
Yeah, and it was about a year and a half before you and I met that I decided to open up my first Facebook page and my Instagram page. And I didn't open it, my kids opened it for me. And the reason why was because now that they're adults and their friends are starting to buy property to live in. And my daughter would say, I don't think that's right. You should talk to my dad. And they come and talk to me. And they will all be like, you need to be on social media. Because they tell me, well, I saw that they told me this. And I said, who gave you that terrible advice? On social media. I was like, get rid of that shit. Throw that phone in the garbage. So I started doing this because I started then looking at social media stuff. And I was like, oh my God.
You almost had to do it, Dan.
I felt like I had to do it because there was so many lies out there. It was like they were setting up. I still see stuff where they're setting up people to fail.
With the stupid BRRR strategy. I'm like, you want to get your ass in the real jam?
Yeah, I remember somebody said to me, he was like, what do you think about the BRRRR strategy? I was like, what is it? What is that? And they were like, well, didn't you say you were an investor since 1980? I said, I am, but I don't know what the BRRRR strategy is. So then when they explained it to me, I was like, so there's a name for that? I didn't even know there was an acronym for that. I've done that dozens of times.
Let's get out of here. Deborah, we're working on a class now, Dan. We working trying to get it done. All right, Dan. Listen, y'all. Take some time to focus on your stats. All right. This week, look at your stats. Don't be worrying about what these football stats players. I promise you, Dan Borrero does not know any of these dudes' stats out here more than he knows his own stats. When I talk to Dan, he knows boom, 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 boom. Thank you for that, Dan.
I look at it like this, Chris. My mind's only got so much room, and I don't want to spend any of that room up here thinking about what another man's making. I don't give a shit what Michael Jordan was making. I didn't care what Gretzky was making. I didn't care what Magic was making. I didn't care what anybody was making. What I cared about is what I was making. So I needed to use all this up here to concentrate on how much I can maximize my income, not give a shit about what somebody else was making.
I love it. Thank you, Kenan. Thank you so much. It is an honor. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Dan, thank you for taking your time to be with us tonight, brother.
Good night, everyone.
Share this with anybody, like it, and subscribe to the channel. Peace.
Take care.